What's up, everybody? So I've been playing City Skylines for just about 200 hours now, and I thought it would be fun to make a public transit guidebook. So this will be a three-part series covering all the ideas behind public transit and using my old cities to show what works and what does not. The first episode is buses, the next will be metro, and last will be the train. Hope you enjoyed the video. So, the first thing you have to think about is what is the purpose of your bus system? What is the bus good at, and what is it bad at? So, buses are very good at being that last mile kind of transit system. In general, buses don't have much capacity, so you need to be careful on how you use them. Okay, so now that we're in the game, I can show you how I design my system and kind of what it looks like. So, the first thing you'll notice is that it's fragmented. So, you can't really take the bus across the city. It's a bunch of closed loop lines that are isolated from each other. And this is very important because you want to make sure that people are not taking your bus as a long form of transit because it'll end up clogging up. It'll draw too much demand and you won't be transporting people efficiently. You want to split up the lines so that they are in their own areas and are covering their own respective neighborhoods, maybe taking someone from the metro stop to their house. And that's the idea of the bus. Okay, so when you're planning out a transit line, and this is for any form of transit, but in the form of buses, it's a little bit different. You want to think about what the destination is going to be and what the starting point is going to be. And so this can mean different things for different forms of transit, depending on how modular they are, how useful they are, how quick they are, how much capacity they have. And buses are very modular, but they have low capacity and are slow. So that means you want to be doing short distances, right? And close stops, and you want them to be shuttling people in a closer area, which means that you're going to be shuttling them like from a metro stop to their home or a metro stop to a shopping area. And there's going to be these kind of medium trips that are in between these longer trips on a train or metro. And so that's what you really want to be focusing on with buses. So as you can see here, you can take, there's a stop right here next to the metro. You can take it all the way over here. You could even take it to the next metro. I mean, my city's not expanded enough for this to be useful yet, but in the future, I could see someone taking a transfer on a bus here and then going somewhere else in the metro. And so you want to be thinking about this as it's not going to be you're going from one destination to the other on the bus, but more you're going from half of a destination to the end point, if that makes sense. Okay, so now that I'm done explaining kind of my ideas and methodology behind buses, I'm going to move into some examples and kind of put in some real world situations where I did or did not use what I'm saying correctly and explain kind of what went wrong and what went right, and maybe it'll be a little bit more clear on how you're supposed to build your own bus systems. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is this bus line right here, because this seems to break the rule I set about having closed loop systems and more specifically not having it go very far and kind of stay in the neighborhood. But what this does here is it actually is bringing people all the way across here, but it's okay because there will never be very much demand for this area. There's only 195 workers here, so I can know that there will never be clogging up of like bus stops. Not very many people are going to be riding it, so it's okay to have a bus in these situations. Okay, so here I have my first line that we're going to kind of show. And this is a very bad line, and you want to make sure that you have nothing that looks like this. So if I go over into the bus view, you can see this line goes all the way over here into the industrial area and goes all the way across the bridge, right? And all the way into here. That is way too long. And if I click on the line, right, I can see there are 300 people waiting at this stop. And then there are 439 people waiting at that stop. That is way too many people, and it's because the line is so long. So you want to never have any lines like this, and if I had this line in my city, I would just delete it. It's too much. 500 people, it's never going to get through that. This is a bus that is like modded 115, and if I look at the line, right, it's like you can spam buses. It's never going to fix the problem. You just can't have lines like this. It'll always clog up, and you need to basically be using trains and metro for these kinds of things. Okay, so here I have an example of overusing bus lines. So there is just so many bus lines here, and they're all terminating at this stop. And having them terminate at this stop is not a bad idea, but there is so much transit here, it is ridiculously unnecessary. There's one, two metro stops, right? A train stop, a monorail hub, most of the bus lines go up and down the monorail hub, and the bus lines are dragging in so much people. Look at that. There's like 5,500 people waiting at like 4 stops, right? So you want to make sure that you're not overusing buses because they'll end up drawing too much demand and taking away from more efficient forms of transit. So just think about that. Don't spam them because it will just lead to a less efficient bus system. Okay, so here I have a really good example of a well-designed bus route. So it's this one right here. And so the reason it's good is it's relatively short, it's linking a whole bunch of transit together, and there's a whole lot of demand in the area, right? So the bus stop goes from here, the train station and metro stop, to this other train station, which they're not connected to each other. And it goes to these cable cars, and it goes to another metro stop. So if you can wire stuff in like this will make a really high value bus line. It gets so much done, and it doesn't take up that much space or have that many buses, and it's really easy to add. So try to do stuff like this, include a lot of different destinations in one line. Okay, so for my last example, if you look on this island, if I just open up my bus network, you see I have this very important bus line, but there's kind of a problem, right? It's clogging up, and at a couple stops, there's 100 people at this stop, 200 people at this stop, right? If I go on this one, 290 people, 102 people. So there's a lot of people at a couple bus stops, but also the other bus stops have almost no one. There's like maybe 45 people on other bus stops. So if you're in this situation where you can't really add in another form of transit, you have to use a bus. What I recommend is shortening your bus route and only using the couple stops where most of the people are going, and this will allow you to have more buses per like distance and have the like capacity of buses go up because there's less distance for them to go, so they can just go back and forth, or 1, 2, 3 back, and it'll just make it so your buses are actually shuttling people around and they won't be waiting at stops as much. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you liked this episode. If you liked it, leave a comment. I don't know, some advice or maybe some tips that you have. The next episodes should be coming out soon, probably one this weekend and then one next week. The next one will be Metro, and the last one will be trains. So, subscribe if you want more of this, and like if you like the video.